All right then. So here we go. Looking at Bluffin' Bob for the last 3 months. It happens to be 3 months, just about to the day, since I first started tracking his play. And obviously, I know that every time I put up one of these sort of real-time, real money, real play summaries, analyses, I'm likely to be accused of trying to ride on the back or in the slipstream of people who are successful on YouTube. And frankly, I couldn't care less. I mean, what I'm really doing is I'm looking at verifiable data, and I'm sort of slipping it into a model, an Excel model, which has the pattern betting algorithm built into it. And each time, as I type in, copy over the results from whoever it might be, whether it's Mr. HP or Degen or Degan or whatever his name is, Dolt and Brandon O'Brien. What I'm doing is I'm just taking an impartial look at their style of play and saying, look, this is an alternative which is absolutely not totally invincible, but it's a hell of a lot more successful and a hell of a lot more promising than this kind of crazy random betting. And I think this guy Bobby Rivas, who seems like a really great guy, and he's got he's got a lot of personality, and he talks about himself in a very interesting way. He's very kind of relaxed and open with the whole business of making videos, so he's a natural at it. I think probably one of the best on YouTube currently, if not the best. But he is by no means the best player. I mean, the guy is basically, he's suicidal. I mean, he just is nuts, and he has every right to be that way. I'm completely aware of that. It's his money. I assume it's his money anyway. If it's not his money, then we need to be told about it, I think, in all fairness. But my assumption is that he is genuinely playing with money that in one of his videos he said he got from the sale of his late father's house, his share of the sale. And he talked about a sum in 6 figures. And unfortunately, the way that he's going, that 6 figures is not going to last him long. He'll be lucky to get through, well, he'll probably get through the rest of this year, but middle of next year, I'm not sure about that. He has an approach which is just about as dangerous as any I've seen, and I just have to keep on saying, well, it's obviously his money, it's his choice, he can do what he wants. But anyway, you can see the numbers at the top here. You can see that currently, after his latest session, in which he lost, according to my count, 1,725, he put it at 1,600, but he was a bit kind of woolly about it, and he's always saying that his mathematics, his math is not good. But I can't be absolutely sure of his bets all the time, because he doesn't announce them. He does sometimes, and sometimes when the dealer pays him off, on the occasions when that actually happens, the dealer is a little bit better about, accidentally obviously, about putting down the chips so that you can see how many there are. But mostly, Bobby does his best. I mean, he's doing a good job in terms of entertainment and drama and excitement and all the rest of it. But I suspect that a lot of people watching him now are starting to think, boy, this guy is nuts. But anyway, going back to the numbers at the top, he right now is just a little bit ahead over the last 3 months. He's risked about 170,000 in total. The total action, the churn, which is of course the value of all bets, winning or losing, and that doesn't include sort of paybacks, the 3-to-2 payoffs on naturals and so on. That's just actual money. Because what I do is I put his bets in this column down here, which is column H, and then the the formulas in this column, in column I, respond to whatever the result is in column E. And I only bother with his first base bets because I think that these extra bets that these guys go in for are basically, they're just adding to their problems. They don't always. I mean, every so often, common sense says that once in a while they're going to actually make a bit of extra money from their extra bets, but mostly they don't. And I just don't bother with them. When I played full time in casinos, I did not bet multiple hands, primarily because I knew one guy who I saw at play quite often, and his thing was to bet three hands all the time. And of course, it's absolute disaster, because as soon as the dealer gets a made hand, you might have decent hands, but if he's showing a 10 or he's showing an ace or whatever, bang, that's 3 lost, gone forever, and it just doesn't make sense. I have to confess that right now, Mr. HP, Jason Bulkey, is doing pretty well out of his multiple bets, and maybe he's got something going on that has gone over my head, but because he's winning a remarkably large amount. I mean, not as much as pattern betting, I have to say, but he is, based upon his style of play and so on. His style of play, he's winning much more than I would expect. But that's entirely possible. The other possibility, of course, is that he's cherry picking. He's only showing us his winning videos, and he was accused of that in a recent comment. And his response to me on that was that he's long since given up worrying about trolls. And I get his point about that, because there are a lot of people out there who make accusations and criticisms based upon nothing other than whim. They don't offer evidence, they don't offer proof, they don't offer logic, analysis, any of those things. Anyway, so Bluffin' Bob, bless his cotton socks, is up just a little bit, less than 1% of his total action. Pattern betting with double or drop is up 61,000 almost. And my action was much greater than his. It was almost 3 times his, but then the win is 47 times his. You can see that here. You see, look, these numbers here. 290% is the action versus Bobby's, and 4,711% is the outcome versus Bobby's. And I'm at 12.4% of my total action to date, whereas he's at 0.8%. He's not doing terribly in terms of average win over average loss. He's got 183 over 152, which I think is more by luck than judgment, but nonetheless it's there. He's at 120%. I'm at 156%. He's looking at, we're both looking at 498 wins and 589 losses, which is an overall house edge of 2.4%. The number of the actual value in terms of wins over losses, and that's when you don't factor in double downs and so on. You just count N is a lost double. And where's another one down here? I don't think there's a Y. Y is a 1 double, and the reason that I do that in these things is that I can't use D because I'm using that for dealer, and then when it comes to a push, I can't use Alexa stop. I can't use P for push because I'm already using P for player. So that's why there are these sort of odd things in here. And of course, I've got to have, an abbreviation, a 1-letter abbreviation for a lost double down. So that's N, and it's all perfectly commonsensical and it's consistent throughout. Let's have a look at some other stuff here. The upper graph, of course, shows the trajectory. Great word, that trajectory of, my God, I sound like George Bush now. Bush Jr. Strategy. The trajectory of pattern betting and double or drop, and then there's the tracker for Bobby's performance, which is flat basically. Down here, this is where the rubber meets the road, as they say. This is why pattern betting scores. Pattern betting responds to these sort of green spikes and takes damage control action against the red slumps, and that's really why it works. It can get into trouble, but the one thing that Bobby doesn't seem to be able to do, and Mr. Handpay is another, and those are the two guys who I've tracked the most of. What they don't seem to be able to do is to just say to themselves, okay, this isn't working, the dealer's hot, the shoe is cold, this is just not very pleasant, I'm not enjoying this, so I'm going to quit and go somewhere else. There's no reason why they can't just turn off the camera, back away, take their chips, take their down and out if they were following a strategy like this one, or strategery, take their down and out to another table and start over. But they just don't do that. It seems like they have a sort of bend over mentality, which enables them to just keep taking it in the shorts. It's just, I don't get it. Anyway, let's go down slowly through Bobby's outcomes here. Oops, I jumped one there, I think. Yeah, I did. Okay, so you can see, on the in the left-hand columns, that's what Bobby bet. Right-hand columns are what the algorithm did automatically. And I'll just keep going slowly down so you can see all these individual things. The algorithm itself is set up so that each one of the screenshots that I've taken there is touch sensitive with the link, which can take me back if I need to go back to the individual session. I think I managed to get them all in. I think that there's a couple of blanks here and there where there is no little screenshot, and I don't know why that is, but I don't think it's a big whoop. The most important thing is trying to be as accurate as possible with his bets, and it is sometimes challenging, but I'm doing my best here, and I think I'm actually doing pretty well, though I says it as shouldn't, as they say in the north of England. There we are. So his last session, according to my calculations, which I do my best with, but have to deal with the fact that he doesn't always announce his bets very well. He lost 1,725. He lost 1,700 of that in the last stretch. The last 21 bets. So that's really awful. Over here, you've got a win for pattern betting and double or drop of 1,175 against his loss, and the win for me was 25.3% of total action. Total action you can see here, and this number over here is Bobby's total action. So he this time had action considerably greater than mine, and he managed to lose 23% of his total action. So that's that's what can happen when you bet randomly and basically suicidally. And like I say over and over again, he absolutely has that right. He may be doing it for dramatic effect. He may have all kinds of smart things going on that I don't understand or don't know about, and I'm perfectly willing to accept that, and I'm not going to apologize to him, because all I'm doing is telling the truth. I mean, this strategy of mine doesn't change from one session of his to the next. It's locked in, and I think there are still a couple of very, very minor flaws in the algorithm, because it doesn't get as confused as I do sometimes, but it does sometimes get a little bit sort of like, what? And every time I spot one of those, I try to fix it. But just in case you haven't seen one of these before, over here these green lines just simply indicate an OK or a turnaround, and on this side the horizontal green lines show that at this point Bobby reached a new high. in terms of his win to loss status. So if we go back down again, you'll see all of a sudden he's on a losing streak. And it takes him, excuse me, I'm sorry about the throat clearing and all that, I'm just stuck with it. That's an allergic thing. But he goes a long way, a long time in the red before he finally pulls out of it. And meanwhile, over on this side, you're seeing sort of turnaround after turnaround, because I'm betting strategically, I'm betting tactically, I'm betting consistently, logically. He is definitely not. Down here, finally, he gets to a new high, which is great. Happy to see that. And, well, you know, running all this stuff through again, obviously you have the option to go to double speed or just hop straight to the end. Oh, this was a bitch, this one here. This was an absolute doozy, this stretch. And this is Bobby being an absolute idiot as far as I'm concerned. I mean, he puts up with, I mean, look at this. And of course I have to put up with it with him. I wouldn't do this. I would not get through this. You know, I would not sit bending over. Is it possible to bend over while sitting? Well, he's found a way, I think. But look at it. I mean, it's just, good God, at 34 rounds to this point, and 43 rounds before I managed to get a turnaround with a large bet. I had a couple of monster bets here, you know, the max for me, and couldn't get out. But what I was able to do at least was to, you know, to fall back, because what I'm looking at every time is I'm thinking, okay, so how much do I need to win to turn around? So there was a time with pattern betting where what I'd do is I'd say, okay, well, it's tricky. If you're in a casino and you're betting $25,000, it's tricky to drop too low. It just attracts attention. I don't bother about that anymore, because I know that if I'm concerned about attracting attention, I can just go somewhere else. It doesn't affect my odds. It doesn't affect possibilities, probabilities, potential, any of those things. And so now the smart thing to do is just not to be greedy. So here, this win at a max finally took me down to only 425 behind for the session, and so I bet 600, or the algorithm bet 600, which is, you know, this rounded up in hundreds, which would be up to 500, and then 100 added, and that's it there. And then this is the final turnaround with a win of 175. In real play, I would not settle for that after betting for that long. But that's neither here nor there. I'm telling the algorithm what to do. I know that I would have been out probably here, around here, certainly before here. You know, I mean, this is just nonsense to sit still for shit like this. And for him, been going on for a long time too. I mean, you know, come on, Bobby. Jesus Christ. Gordon H. Bennett on a bicycle. Anyway, on we go, and I'm looking for another max for poor old Bobby, and I'm not seeing it yet. Look at this. I mean, we're just going, and all these turnarounds on this side, and you know, it just in the hole, and look at this. I mean, he has this incredible winning streak here. Does fuck all with it. He does nothing. You know. Just 100, what, but, you know, I mean, I just don't get this guy at all. Like I say, he may have an agenda that I just don't understand because I'm not smart enough, but by golly, oh dear, you know, and here he is. I mean, like, we're now at nearly 1,000 rounds, and he still hasn't caught up. And then his buddy, oh, this was it, his buddy Brownie, I think his name was, hit a winning streak here. And he actually did something with it. I mean, you know, not enough in my view. Well, that's not fair. He did enough to get to turn Bobby's numbers around, so that by the time Brownie finished his little run, Bobby was at plus 2,463, and he stayed doing fine. And then, oh dear, where was Brownie when he was needed? Because, oh dear, you know. Oh, he got back up there, and he got back up there. See, this is why I'm trying to be fair. I'm trying to be balanced. with these things, with these analyses. So that was his last high. He was 3,343 ahead, and then back into deep shit again. So, you know, but like I say, every time, to the point where there are lots of people out there bored shitless, no doubt. It's his money, it's his choice. He has the right to do whatever he wants. He's in charge. It's his channel. And, you know, I guess that if he won too much, El Cortez would get pissed off and confiscate his camera, or at least make him turn it off. This is Dumble Down, as I like to call it, which is my version of a martingale. The casino business loves to mock the martingale and say, you know, this is suicide, this is stupid, this is going to cost you a lot of money, everything will go, blah, 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 blah. You know, all of that sort of stuff. It's complete crap. They know that progressive betting is their worst enemy. That's why they have table limits. It's in order to discourage progressive betting. They don't take into account the fact that somebody can just simply go from one table limit to the next up table limit to the next up table limit to the next up, blah, 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 ad nauseam, until finally they get a turnaround. They don't ever talk about that. They just talk about how, well, then of course you're going to reach the table limit, and what are you going to do then? Well, what you're going to do is you're going to get out of your seat and spend a little shoe leather going to somewhere where the next bet is permissible. But the most important difference, of course, is this thing here. When you start a new series, and this is an important thing, of course, is to always, once you win, go back to a minimum bet and start over with a whole new battle. Here, you know, sort of plus, plus, plus. Here, we get to 100. The reason that the next bet was 200 was because it was a lost double down here. So the next bet was 200. We lost that, and we kept going. And then what happens, of course, is that we get, what do we get? Not sure why that happened. Oh, I see. Yes, of course. Yes, yes. What happened was that we won the 12,800, and we made a decent bit of money there because of the because of the wins to start with. But it's very important to have this idea where if you get an opening win, add a unit. Add another unit, add another unit, and then don't double when you lose, just repeat it. If you win back the bet you just lost, the amount that you just lost, then draw a line under it, and it'd probably be a horizontal green line, just like one of mine, and carry on. Where do we have one? Let's find a plus where we turn it around. I just remember every single bet that you put down is more likely to lose than to win. That's what's known as a house advantage. Yeah, what I'm looking for, oh, here we go. Okay, so this was a short one, but, you know, sort of plus 25, or actually it was a natural there, and then plus 50, then plus 70, then minus 75, so we just bet 75 again. We got it. So we said, okay, line underneath. Excuse me, so sorry. And on we go. And this is another one here. There's always a few, you know. And what you do is greed is your worst enemy. You don't want to get greedy. So just, you know, let's go back to the top, and I'll just kill the. See what happens. So we drop down to 47,550 ahead, and now it's a $20,000 difference, for Christ's sake. So, you know, I mean, just please listen to me if you're going to martingale. Add a unit, add a unit, add a unit. Just play the numbers. Don't fly by the seat of your pants. Just do what's logical, mathematical, sensible, strategic, tactical, discipline, all of that stuff. Oh, and then down here somewhere, that's a slightly bigger version of the patterns, and these are what we are chasing all the time. And this little summary here is sort of interesting. Twins, 2 wins in a row, 123 times. Double losses, 158 times. trip wins 54 times, trip losses 87 times. Quad wins 25 times, quad losses 53 times. This is the sort of stuff that you need to think about. And people like Bobby, they don't care about the numbers. Not interested. Just not interested. And I think that's a shame. So, oh yeah, what I didn't do this time was, up here I had a thing that counts the number of times, because he has this crazy thing he does where he says, you know the rules, if you win a natural, if you get a blackjack, let it ride. Well, he did that 21 times before and won 5,100, he did it 21 times successfully and won 5,178. He did it unsuccessfully 27 times, and it cost him 27% of the total action for this crazy let it ride thing that he does. I haven't extended that to the current session, which is my bad. So I will do that right now. I have to put a formula in there, which will simply only do it when there's something to look at. But let's see what happens here. Okay, so now he's gone to 28 losses against 21 wins, and he's lost 6,870. He's lost 33% of the total let it ride action. You know, crazy stuff. I mean, don't do it, man. Well, do what you want, basically. That's all I can say. Anyway, I should stop this now because I'm rambling. And, you know, all of this stuff is stuff that you can take it or leave it. You can believe it or not. Entirely up to you. But the one thing I want to say yet again is, I promise you, the algorithm does not change from one session to the next. From the very first session on August the 17th, you know, to the latest one, which I think was the 19th of October. So we're looking at August, September, blah blah blah. Is it 2 months or 3? Did I get that wrong? August to September. It's only 2 months. I said 3 months earlier, didn't I? What the fuck do I know? We're moving in the direction of 3 months. Eventually in November it'll be 3 months, won't it? So August to September, all right. I actually am pretty good at math, but sometimes I just, you know, I'm more concerned with blackjack outcomes than I am with anything else. So sometimes I forget myself. So there you are. So it's 2 months, Bobby, not 3. And Jesus, man, I just hope that you've got some money left from that windfall that you had, because you're a good guy, I think, and you deserve to win. But you're not going about it the right way right now, for sure. Anyway, I'll see you folks next time. Okay, folks. So I'm having to add just a little bit here to the Bluffin' Bob presentation or demo that I just completed, because as I've said many times, my aim all the time is to, if I spot a problem with what I'm doing, if I spot something which is a little woolly or just basically not primo, then I try to fix it. And what I've done here is I've made a slight adjustment to the algorithm rules, which is basically to make absolutely certain that the drop level, which is here, -3, is properly applied across the board. And it was fine before, but there were just a couple of instances of not confusion exactly, but non-compliance, put it that way. So I've now fixed that problem, and as I'm sure you'll appreciate, I have the option of, or I had the option when I discovered this thing, of sort of saying, okay, so I'll scrap the previous video and just do it over with you know, with this correction, update, enhancement, evolution, whatever you want to call it, in place. And then I thought, you know what, a big part of what I'm trying to do here is to let my handful of loyal repeat viewers know that I am dedicated to doing this right. And so I just want to show you, to confirm for the umpteenth time, that if I find that something isn't 100% right, then I will fix it. And so what happens here is that my, or pattern bettings, total action goes up a little bit, the win goes up a little bit, and therefore obviously the win percentage goes up. And it's all related to this little nadja here, this important little number, which can be altered, and I can make that -2, and that's what happens. A very great reduction in exposure, a big reduction in total win, but a matching reduction in action, and so on. And if I bump it up to -4, then what you see is a huge increase in action, a slight increase in the win, blah 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 blah. But all I'm trying to get across to you is -3 is my chosen sort of red line, if you like. And once I've had 3 losses in a row, then I will start applying damage control. I suspect that the right way to go in real play, in real time, is to say, okay, the bets are really huge, so instead of doing -3, I'm going to go -2 from now on. But that's a little tricky to build into the algorithm. It can be done, certainly, but I'm not inclined to do it right now, simply because I don't want to keep on changing things for the sake of change. I want to change things for the sake of improvement, for the sake of increased accuracy, all of those good things, but for no other reason. So there you have it. Everything else is the same. I'll just quickly bounce down through the because you can stop these at any point that you want, and you'll see that essentially nothing changes. I think there's a reduction in the number of maximums. Huge bets. See, I mean, this was one where it used to be 25,000, 25,000, 25,000, but that seems to have disappeared. But this is how it looks. And remember that on the left-hand side, the green lines are where Bobby has reached his max, and the green lines under the double or drop pattern betting rules applied area from K through Q, basically. That's each one of those is a fresh turnaround. So you can see an enormous difference in long-term performance and accuracy, and basically common sense and logic and stuff like that. I'm kind of toying right now with the idea of adding the latest Mr. Handpay information to this, but I don't know. I'll see. Anyway, there you have it. What you've got is you've got the same sort of trajectory. Be very careful with that word now. With a couple of big drops. You're bound to get that. You have volatility in these games, which you must know is coming, which you must be ready for, and which you must respond to sensibly and logically, mathematically, blah blah blah, all that shit. So there you have it. Oh, something else that went up slightly, I think, is the win over loss, average win over average loss percentage, which I think is bumped up a little bit there. But anyway, there you have it. Next time. Okay, so here we go, Mr. Handpay. I decided it was smart to add this particular data set to the current demo, to the current presentation, because I've been tracking him a lot longer than I have Bluff and Bob, Bobby Rivas, and there's a lot more information here, and it's very interesting how similar the results are. You know, I mean, the percentage win, for instance, for pattern betting with double or drop is 12.7% here, and it's 12.9% in the revised Bobby Rivas analysis, and I think that's kind of interesting. What I did here was I took out all of Mr. HP's first base bets, because you know, I don't understand the whole idea of multiple bets. It doesn't make sense to me at all, unless you're doing what really skilled advantage players will do, and that is that, you know, you're tracking the deck value, the true value, all the time, and thinking, okay, what I need to do now is spread out and eat up a lot more cards with small bets, so that I can change the deck value to positive, and then I'll go back down to one core bet and hammer it. And, you know, there's a guy called MG21, Max is his first name, I don't know his last name, but he was on YouTube for 2 or 3 years and was playing absolutely brilliantly. And I am very much on the fence when it comes to card counting, because in the HP tracking, where I was tracking everything that he did, all of his hands, because he doesn't usually go to more than 3. I think there might be a limit, actually, you know, sort of like the house has put on him. But anyway, he doesn't usually go to more than 3. And, you know, I for a long time, I tracked the deck value, and I was getting no indication that positive deck value was good for him or for me, because I was obviously tracking pattern betting with double or drop rules alongside him, and so I just stopped doing it because it's extra work. You know, I mean, what's the point? And if I can't see within 1,000 or so rounds that there's a benefit to betting according to the deck value, then why continue? Something I do want to do at some point is to take that analysis a little bit further, using the Wizard of Odds blackjack sim, because in that, in every frame, in every round, he tracks, or his sim tracks, both the running count and the true count. And the running count is overall, and the true count is where you take the running count and you divide it by the number of decks, the left. I'm not entirely convinced that that's a relevant way to go, but that's what they do, and that's what the Wizard does. And so, you know, that information is there to be had. But I haven't bothered with it yet. As I like to say, I'm waiting for my staff to arrive, and then I can put them beaver style to that little task, and they can spend a week or two going through all of the Wizard blackjack demos and scribbling down and transcribing the deck values. But as I say, I'm on the fence where that's concerned. But all we're concerned about here right now is looking at Mr. HP's performance just on his left hand or first base bets. That's all I care about, and like it or not. And I've had no comment from him about that, but I just ignore all the others because I think that they're sort of like, they're drama rather than good play. So we're looking at, he's 50,000 ahead. Also right now, the house edge after 1,674 is 0.1%, so it's about 1/10 of what it should be, and this kind of makes me wonder if perhaps he's not cherry picking his videos that he puts up. He denies that, and I have no reason to disbelieve him. There was a comment on one of his recent sessions where somebody said, yeah, he's only putting up his winning ones, and that's certainly not true, because he's had some doozies of losers of late. But he might be, he could, I suppose, be sort of saying to himself, okay, well, I'll throw in some losers, but basically what I want to be is ahead. And certainly looking at this after 1,600, nearly 1,700 bets rounds, you know, he's nicely ahead. It's only 1.8% of his action. But here you'll see up here, this is kind of interesting, because I'm at 31% of his total action, but I'm at 211% in terms of my win, or pattern betting's win to date. And that, I think, is kind of interesting. And the 12.7% pretty much matches the 12.9%, as I said before, for Bobby Rivas. So that's kind of intriguing too, I think. This stuff over here is pretty much irrelevant. I've left it there because I'll probably take it down next time. what it was, all it does is it just tracks every 21 bets, because it happens that a column in my notebook has 21 lines. And so I thought, okay, so this is this is the sort of like, this is the end of a segment, and so that's why I did that, and it really isn't meaningful in terms of Mr. HP, because we've now got to the point where, I mean, if we divide 1674 by 21, we're going to get something in the region of what, 30 some odd, and no, it's more than that, isn't it? What am I talking about? Divide by 21, divided by 10, you get 167, so it's 80 something, 88. I hope you notice how when I make a stupid mistake, I do own up to it and point it out, which I guess I don't have to do. Well, actually, no, I do have to do it. Let's see what happens here. If I change this to -1, then we see, a considerable reduction in the win, but it's still pretty damn good. What I'm doing is, here you'll see, where we're dropping the bet, because we've reached -1, and I don't like that, but it's still a bloody solid win, isn't it? It's the action drops to 25% of Jason's, and the win is still 138% of his, and the average win over average loss goes up to 152%. So that's kind of intriguing, I think. -2. Oops, don't like that at all. So win, lose a lot. Anyway, I don't do that. -3. And we get our 12.7, -4. I'm doing this in real time with you. We get that's pretty solid. That's 15.1%. That's bloody good, isn't it? -5, still good. -6. What happens if I go to -66? That's really intriguing. That's a surprise to me. I don't normally play tricks like that. I don't do that sort of thing. But no, that's interesting. It just basically, what it says is it's a good idea to drop, but it's not absolutely essential, at least according to this data set. And obviously we have to accept that every single data set from any of these games is not exactly the same as any other data set of the same length or whatever, because there's an underlying house advantage, which is with us all the time, which means that every single bet that we place has a better chance of losing than of winning. So we have to accept that. I'm going to put that back to -3 because that's offending me. But yeah, we have a built-in disadvantage which we must accept and must be ready for, and we must also be ready for situations like this, where a sudden horrendous spike in the house's favour has resulted in us really going up against it. Let's try and find this. It's 0.692, so let's go down there and have a look for that. 0.692. Here we go. Yeah, so we got into real trouble here, and the whole crux of this is this little business here, where you see 3 losses, an isolated win. 3 losses in effect, because that was a double down, a lost double down, and then a win, and then 4 losses because of another lost double down, and then 2 lost double downs there. I mean, I'm not sure that it's believable to anybody that anybody would stick out that sort of situation, but that's what Mr. HP did. And so I have to go along with whatever he chooses to do. And that's frustrating for me, because I look at this play sometimes and I think, ooh, I wouldn't do that, But, it's like when he does his splits and his double downs and his buys and mostly he plays very, very sensible, very straightforward. Excuse me, now I've got hiccups. Basic play, basic strategy. but once in a while he goes a little bit weird, and I just have to go along with that. I have no choice. But at least I'm only doing his left-hand bets. But that's the worst case here. And if I change this to a lesser amount, yeah, you see what happens. This is interesting. You know, you'll see this all the time. If you tighten your spread, you actually make things much worse for yourself, which of course is exactly what the casinos want. That's why they have table limits. You know, if I say over 2, what do we get there? Yeah, you see, this is really interesting. The tighter the spread, look at that. I mean, it's just, you know, there's just no sense in doing what these guys do. Oh dear, oh dear. Anyway, we'll put it back to common sense. You see, my spread there is 1 to 1,000. And all I'm saying is that, you know, if I find myself up against the table limit at a particular game, at a particular layout, then I don't sort of just then start just going wham, wham, wham with the table max. That's silly. What I then do is I go to a higher limit table. I mean, let's see what happens if I go, if I double that. Then, okay. And if we quadruple it, yeah, as soon as we get to 100,000, then we come back down to something sensible. So this is the whole point, you know, that if you... Okay, there we go. I'm putting it back to its where it's supposed to be. There was something weird there. What's this? And what did I do here? Oh, it's, yeah, this is the comparison taken from this lot up here. So we're not bothered about that. I'll take that out for next time. But we are at least in a situation where here we've got 1,674 of Jason's bets. He's ahead 50,000 or 1.8%. I'm ahead 106,250, and that's 12.7% of a considerably reduced by 70% actual nasty the total action. And I'm at 141% in terms of my average win being 645 and my average loss being 456. And over here, he's betting much bigger amounts, and he's at 113%. So there you have it. That's it. Oh, did I go over here before? No, I hadn't done that yet. This is hilarious. In this particular instance, what we get is if we use my method, which is to boost after a win, according to this, we have a risk here, which is bloody hell, nearly 600,000. I mean, no way is that sensible or doable. Change it, and you get 14.9%. And so, you know, Double Down is doing way better even than pattern betting. But most people don't do that and don't make that amount of money. So what can I tell you? I mean, I'm trying to run a version of the martingale. I won't do the martingale as promoted by the casinos as a stupid thing to do, because it is a stupid thing to do the way they describe it. But I am intrigued by following it, just tracking it to see how it does in comparison with what I do. And here, pattern betting comes out as being by far the safest way to go, and also the most productive and profitable in terms of win percentage. You know, looking at, okay, here we're at 840,000 is my action, and for Double Down it's 6 million. Anyway, this is rambling on as always too much, so I'm going to stop now, and like I always say, believe it or not, trust it or not, take it or leave it, all of those good things. See you next time.